He's watching it.
I can't tell what he's doing. What are you looking at?
How many?
I got
have you
another
had
monitor
today,
up,
Bill?
big monitor up here that shows me the stream and all that.
That's what
Oh,
he sees. That after the fifth bourbon, he just it's
I am
not
all
there, but,
out of bourbon. Thank you very much.
Oh,
And
what are you into now? Scotch.
I can't get away from this desk until about 5 o'clock today. In which time I plan on replenishing my supply.
Okay.
But
enough.
just in time for
Do you
3FT tonight at 7.
Do you go to the interior of your city?
I go to the interior of
Good
my
stuff?
suburb of this city.
Uh-huh.
And
That's where the good stuff is, right?
Yeah, that's the
when
good
you don't
stuff.
want any rules, that's where you go.
yeah, you got to look out for yourself.
Don't need this government
Oh.
down on me.
Okay, so
Did anybody else see that Mehdi Hassan thing with the 20 far right people on Surrounded?
I saw clips of it, and
I just sat there
they
going,
did a
I
pretty
cannot
good job.
believe people. It's like I cannot believe people like that actually exist in the world.
And they listen to this show.
Yes.
they follow me on Facebook, I'll tell you that. Because every time I say something on Facebook about this administration being at war with education and that, because that's my soapbox
Bill.
right there.
They're taking the chains off education.
Oh,
man.
you need to go on with that bullshit.
They're what they're doing is they're allowing education to flourish
For
by
rich
not
white people.
giving a damn about it. Right?
What's that smell?
You see,
It's that smell of bullshit.
Yeah.
It's coming from
Eh?
your general direction.
no, man, no.
He knows
man.
better.
Libertarianism is the future, guys. Where you pay for everything. You pay to go to free public school. Okay, we already do with the lunches. Now we're gonna pay for more.
You know, we've had free lunch in Fort Wayne.
I don't want to hear it.
For about 20 years now.
I don't wanna
Which
hear it.
that
You
changes
progressive,
things.
liberal,
Oh, far
whatever
from it.
people you care about kids eating. What is this? Kids eating? They don't even need to eat. I'm pretty sure they
Yeah.
could go 6 weeks
Yeah.
without even touching anything.
If kids can
What are you
eat
gonna
for
give
free, how can the bullies
look
take
at-
their lunch money?
Yeah.
And
How does
I mean, in Gaza, they managed without food for months. I mean, that's fine, isn't it?
see?
No, you guys are making jokes,
Irrefutable.
but I honestly have friends that believe that we should just stop with public education. We can just teach our kids
Well,
at
that's
home.
why we're getting rid of the Department of Education. We don't need the rules. We don't need anything.
As long as there's no actual curriculum to follow, yes, you can teach your children from home.
Correct.
I mean-
Absolutely correct.
I probably could if I wasn't working on the road 70 hours a week. Yeah, I suppose. I don't know.
We considered it.
That is my thing about that argument is that ain't nobody got the time for that. You're over here clawing and trying to figure out how you're going to pay your rent.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean-
how much time are you actually going to teach your kids, please? Please.
And there are programs
Yeah,
out
guys.
there for supporting homeschooling and that. And
Yeah. I mean,
Community.
homeschooling
And you
is-
still
has
need-
got-
You still need someone there damn near full time.
yeah, you do.
Like helping the kid follow ain't nobody got time for that. You got time for that?
and that's true. I mean, because I got a mate who was really into homeschooling, homeschooled for.
Is it because of the
kids and five-
propaganda, Majid? Is
No,
it
well-
because
I don't. Why I'm just going to park here for a second because there's a whole PhD thesis on this guy's psychology, right? Okay, so but all I'll say is that having spent all that time, homeschooling his kid, telling us how great it was, at a certain age, he just had to say, look, I just have to send them to school because I ain't got
They're
the time
feral.
to be doing. No, I ain't got the time. It's fine when it's primary school, elementary school. Anybody can teach that shit. Yeah, but when it's actual exams that you're going to be going for, which you're then going to depend on your university admissions and all this kind of stuff. At that point, you have to kind of say, "I'm not a teacher. I can't do it."
We got
Which
thousands.
is what he did. Which he did.
We got thousands and thousands of primary school teachers that are tut-tutting you right now.
I'm sure they
tut-tutting
are.
with them. I'm tut-tutting with them, Majid.
Okay.
So you know. Just so you know. Look at this finger. It's wagging.
He said
It
anybody
is
can do
wagging.
I kind of went like this when he said that.
That is on the internet now and forever.
Oh, well, yeah. Let me go ahead and start the recording. I'll do a 3, 2, 1.
Ah, okay. The 6 people that watch the live stream now know. What do you
6?
think, Majid?
Oh, there's one.
Oh.
And I'm here for that
Well,
one
no,
person.
there's people that go back. There's like
Yeah,
10
there is.
views on across all of the 50
I reckon
episodes.
I reckon most of that is me actually, because over the last month it has really
No.
helped me getting to sleep. I put on OTC old episode and I just fall asleep. It's brilliant. You know.
Yeah, most of the interaction comes after the fact. It's true, but if I stream it, I don't have to edit it. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
3, 2, 1, record. Oop, nope. I hit it.
Now
twice.
you have to edit it.
I hit it twice.
You just thought you were getting away with it. Mm-mm.
55, 55, 55, 55. Linux OTC. Welcome to episode 55. I'm Bill.
I'm Eric.
I'm on episode 55.
And I'm Majid.
Something happened that I was not aware of.
No.
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 No, we were having a stare down, me and Majid.
Yeah.
Who's gonna go?
Okay.
Who's gonna crack?
Yeah, and you cracked.
I cracked. Yeah.
Yes.
I
What a lovely moment for a stare down.
know.
Yeah, on
On
a
a
podcast.
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You just
well.
made me think you made me think that my flawless Linux setup might have had an audio issue for a second.
I am eagerly anticipating the new release of Mint. I bought me a new Iron Wolf drive for the data drive.
How big?
4 terabyte.
Oh, mine's bigger than yours. I bought a 6 terabyte.
Ooh.
My wife said as long as it's attached to me and reaches her, it's big enough.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
TMI.
You
Oh
have one
wait,
of
you were
those,
talking about this. Oh,
Do you have one of the
Disc.
dock things where you just put a
Disc.
disc in and you?
no, it's
It
going to
was
go
an
in the
estimate.
tower. Right now I've got a laptop FireCuda drive in there. It's a 2 terabyte, and I keep filling it up, so I keep having to
2
between.
terabytes. What are you filling it all up with?
Put
Well,
Yeah.
it's recording. OBS is recording the video here.
You don't ever delete them?
Oh, yeah.
I have not deleted a single show since I've started podcasting.
Hold on, wait a minute. Excuse me. Why don't you just get like the 100 terabyte Microsoft Azure thing and hook it up to your OneDrive,
Yeah.
so that you can just continuously sync between all of your stuff?
Azure, huh? Yeah.
Isn't that what backs up OneDrive? Sure. And I'm sure they rent it from Google, and then they rent it from Amazon. I'm sure.
I thought they had their
Isn't
own
that how that
servers,
works?
though. I thought they had their own
Yeah,
servers.
they do.
Well,
They
to
do.
be fair, all of the MP3, once I make an MP3 and it gets uploaded to archive.org, which is where we host our audio files once they're done, I probably should. And then, yeah, also once the video is on YouTube, I probably shouldn't be keeping the raw
thing is,
video either.
You always need backups, isn't it? Because that's the whole point.
It feels like it, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
You
the
don't-
Internet Archive now is they're on the level with the Library of Congress now. Every time the Library of Congress gets something, it is now mirrored, and this is like federally a rule that Internet Archive also gets a copy of it. So basically, Linux OTC is at the Library of Congress, so we're awesome.
And our
I mean, we're awesome. That bit I know already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying we don't need extra backups. It's there. It's official. It's forever.
And
Didn't
that
our server
secures
all
our
go down or
immortality.
something?
What's
So
that?
You don't have
You're
any
not-
kind of like a cold storage type thing where you
Yeah,
can
I
put
do,
stuff
and
like
that's
that?
where I've got a couple of these little drives that are running ZFS, and I'll do a send receive occasionally. When I fill up this internal drive, I'll move it over onto one of those, It happens about once, I don't know, every 3 months or so.
So out of interest, does everybody still do the 3-2-1 backup thing? 3 copies, two places, and at least one being
I'm
offsite.
not sure how.
Officially,
It
yes.
depends on the data.
Yeah.
frankly.
It's
You
not
know,
always.
the truth is that a lot of stuff now is cloud-based anyway,
Hmm.
and the backup isn't so much taking it from a local source and pushing it to a cloud. It's actually me backing up Google Photos to my local NAS
Yeah,
because
it's the other way
everything
around,
just
isn't it?
goes there.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's like the primary one is over there rather than the backups, up on the cloud. It's actually the primary one's there, and the backups are what you've got in your possession.
You know, the truth is too that we have
Photos.
so many photos out
To
there
my
that, quite frankly,
local-
are very, very close to what I'd call redundant. There are.
I
and
thought you
would
were gonna
say
say risque.
No,
Eric's
no.
got a lot of that out there.
from
Don't go
the
googling.
oh, brown chicken, brown cow. No, the stuff that's on there that is like, oh, look, another picture of our cat. Oh, look, another picture of a flower. Oh, look. These are not things that are like would be missed greatly. And so frankly, I do have backups of things, but I'm also not like, you know, sitting there checking
Yeah.
bit for bit like, do I
Yeah,
have
and-
every single file? Because I have my daughter's like early life, that stuff's all very carefully backed up, and
Mhm.
videos of first things, and like those are important, those matter. But the thousands of other pictures that are out there, like, yeah, I have a copy of them, but like
I
no one's
think-
ever gonna here's the truth about all this now. We take so many damn pictures with our phones, you're never going to look at them again. Like, almost certainly you're never going to look at that picture again.
I
Why?
agree with that.
You know what I mean?
No, well, no.
I
Google.
think that's partly true. The reason I say partly is I've been in the situation where once all my photos accidentally got deleted, and it has made me really paranoid about my photos. It's made I've uploaded to at least 2 Google Photos and something else as well. And the thing is that yes, there might well be, in a sea of 100 images, 75 are rubbish, but actually within that there's some stuff that's interesting or some stuff that you want to look back. So for example, I was the other day, I was sat with my daughter and I said, do you want to see some old photos? And she goes, okay then. And they weren't that old, and I'm talking about like an India trip a couple of years ago, but we just went through them, Chromecasting them onto from Google Photos to our TV, and it was like there were quite a few memorable things there that we'd completely forgotten about. When things, it's like, oh, remember when this happened? Oh, remember that? Oh, remember this photo? That was because of this, wasn't it? Yeah, and things like that. And so, I get your point, Eric.
Would you agree, though?
This,
Would you agree that a vacation, those are intentional photos? And what I mean by that is, because it's so easy to literally just take a picture of anything, and also the fact that I think many people are just addicted to the fact that they can't do anything in life without having photographic proof. Like, you're allowed to just go somewhere and not take 100 pictures. You are. It's okay.
yeah.
And I think the truth is that
I think you're
like,
right
think
about
think about growing up. Whenever you had 24 pictures on a roll of film, or 36 or whatever, and like you had to pay real money to get them developed. Like, you were much more, intentional about those.
You're much more
pictures,
judicious
right?
about what exactly you took
Exactly.
photos of, when you took them, and then when did you get them, printed out, developed, whatever. So no, I see what you mean. I know what you mean. It's just, as I said, I've had situations where I've lost photos, and there's been other situations where. So I remember my wife. Whenever she was trying to feed the kids when they were toddlers, she'd always be like, "Oh, let's look at this old photo of you," And now we've got hundreds of these. In one sense, they're rubbish photos because they're just kids eating, or sitting on a high chair, and or watching some cartoon. But I look back on it and I kind of go, shit, man, those were good times, or oh, I do you remember this, or do you know what I mean? There are memories and things
Yeah.
that come for that. Now, if that means that I have 75% noise and only 25%, you know, something useful. As I said, I was in the situation where I lost a whole bunch of photos, and I felt it really, I'm not gonna say scarred me because that's a bit ridiculous, but it did affect me. And I remember thinking, shit, these are memories of my kids that have now disappeared. You know,
No,
so
they
I
haven't.
get
They're in your mind.
so
Well,
I
that's a
get
good
well.
point.
Have we
Well,
lost
no,
something though? That whole thing where like
oh no,
if-
I agree.
when
I agree in the sense that the importance of photos has gone. I remember again a couple of years ago, we were taking some school photos of the boys. They have their graduation and stuff like that, and we were ordering them and this that and the other. And my sons were like, "Why are you doing all this? I mean, who cares?" And I'm like, you've taken photos on your phone. I'm like, you have to understand, there was a time when you wouldn't have photos like this. You know what I mean? You wouldn't have 1,000
Back in
photos of
my
your first
day.
day. You know,
Yeah.
I was
and
just gonna say with that whole thing, like when my dad died, and I'm cleaning out the house, and you find this box full of photos, and you literally would not think to go looking for these photos, except in this particular, in a situation like this, and then you're going through and you're seeing these photos, and there's something about that I wonder if we've lost, where now nobody goes through the trouble of taking a roll of film to the I don't even know if you can do that anymore.
Well, hold on. So yes,
You
we've
can,
absolutely
but
lost
it's
something. To answer your question, we've lost something. We've lost that search. But the real question, I think, is was it better? Was doing that better than just having the photos in an archive somewhere on a phone?
I mean, I think for that's a very personal thing. I think for some people,
Having to go to Walgreens and tell them, here, I don't know what's on here, and then you realize it was nothing. It was just they were all black. They were all just
Yeah.
in the dark.
Yeah, no, but I mean, but I know I do think it's a personal thing. Some people like. I mean, I think it's stupid, but some people do want to have photos of every single thing they've ever done and every single step that they've taken and every time they've had some cereal or sausages for breakfast or whatever.
And that's
there's
why the
other-
one concert that I'm going to in 2025 has an absolute zero policy for phones. They put it in a locked bag and give it to you.
And
Yeah.
then there's and then there's other
that, a
people
Metallica
who are a
concert?
lot more specific.
It's a ghost concert.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, Lars Ulrich personally comes and collects your phone from you.
That
Yeah.
that actually
sounds like
deletes
something he
stuff
would
them-
do.
Yeah,
He
and
stuffs
deletes
them all in the
stuff from
bass
there.
drum.
Yeah.
So I mean, no, I mean, I take your point, Eric. I'm not disagreeing. I just think there's a bit more nuance to it. That's all, and I do think it's a little bit.
I
it
think
is
that's.
personal.
I think there's some photos, right? Like we can agree that there are certainly events, and like you said, like a vacation, something notable in life, right? And there could just be a nice candid selfie, or so. There are certain. I'm not saying that the practice of capturing the image by extra storage,
Yeah.
on the cloud, because nobody is going to sit there and go through literally 10,000 photos.
Yeah.
To
In
figure
fact,
out
I had
what are we
exactly
keeping
that
or
same.
what aren't we.
I had exactly that situation this morning actually, because my wife is upgrading her phone, and one of the things that keeps coming up is your Google Drive is almost maxed out. Your Google Drive's almost maxed out and stuff like that. And I look, to see if there's anything I'd clean up, and it's just all these thousands of photos and things like that. That you're right. They just use up space, and then they kind of persuade you. Well, you just spend £1.50 and you'll get 100 gig. Or
What if we dive a little bit into Bill's thought process there? What if the photos you care about, the ones that are just the ones that you couldn't ever stomach losing, right? It's that one out of 100 that to Eric's point, right? They're all trash except for the one or two that you want. What if we printed those and put them in some kind of archive or book?
Yeah, where there's
And-
like a physical copy. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you would always have them.
By
You'd put 'em
book,
on
you
a
mean
shelf.
something you open? There's pages on
Yeah,
the
like-
inside.
You
Yeah,
hold
what-
it
what
in
do
your hand and like
You call it
You
you call it on
hold
the
it.
phone. They call it like
What am I
like
going to
the
do with my phone if I'm
album?
holding this?
Yeah, and like so there's a photo and you put them in an album. What if we called it a photo album?
Leo, you're being a bit facetious, but it is actually
No,
I've
true,
thought
yeah.
of this. Like What?
Yeah,
so
it's a real thought
I'm
said in
thinking-
a very facetious way.
Yeah.
okay, but so I've thought of this because it's like my wife and I have spent my daughter's youth taking these pictures of her that she herself has looked at some of them and said, I really like these and I want. But what happens? Like those are under
Put an
our
8 by
accounts,
10,
they're on
baby.
our phones. Like where is the? How do we get those things? Like, do we have a right of survivorship that all of a sudden she can have our accounts because like all
Exactly.
of that stuff
Yeah, that's a
exists?
good question.
Or does it
Exactly.
just go away? Like, you know, once we're no longer here to use the service, like, oh well, like I
See,
still have.
what you're supposed to do is like within the 30 days after you die, your kid's supposed to log into your account, and download it all, right? I mean, that's,
Yeah, so you get on your
Like that,
Facebook.
they're gonna think to do that, you know, while they're.
I know.
grieving, maybe,
Oh,
like-
I just went through this process. Thank God my dad hated the internet, you know? Like he didn't buy anything on the internet. He didn't have anything delivered to him. None of that. It is exactly
Boomers
Bill's
hating the
situation.
internet? No.
It was exactly Bill's situation where all of the photos that I cared about that he happened to have were physical.
all
So I got 'em.
turning
I
turning
had them.
orange from the nicotine and
But I also set up all of his internet accounts. So like the little bit that he did interact with the internet, I have access to still. Like months and later, you know, like it's
I mean,
fine.
I think there is an interesting point there about, you know, is your online activity now going to become part of your estate? One of the things.
Oh, it
that
is
you're-
absolutely.
you know,
No,
one of
Steam.
the-
Think about Steam games, right? Like you got, I mean, most people that play video games have thousands and thousands of dollars worth of Steam games, right? And Steam has explicitly said that there is no legal mechanism in which we can like transfer this to another account or something like that. The account stays the way the account is, but they notably left out the clause that someone can't just forever and ever log into that account and use it for whatever purposes they want to, right? They did that on purpose because while there's no transference, there is certainly, you know, if you have the password or whatever.
I mean, that's
Okay.
it's having your cake and eating it. Really, it sounds.
Oh,
like.
I'm sure it's going to end up in the courts, but you know, the point is just don't say anything about it. Don't say anything about it. Don't raise questions about it or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Always have that ID on hand, and you know you're good to go.
Yeah, but it is something I think we're going to need to think about as a society. You know, what is the legal status of these things?
Oh, I have an answer to that too, which is there is no legal status of it. You don't own Jack, buddy. So if you ever are to lose the username and password or lose the ability to change the password because you don't have the ID or whatever, those games are gone. They're just gone. Same with the photos. If there's no way to prove that you're a legal heir or the administrator of an estate or something like that, then they're gone. Sorry. There is no legal mechanism in which to transfer this stuff to you. So they're
that's what
gone.
I mean. That's what I mean. That
Well,
I
and we're all
think
very lucky.
I think over the next decade or so, I reckon some laws will start being passed about this.
Oh, you're being way too optimistic, man. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe in
With all
Europe,
the other
but
stuff happening,
To
yeah,
just-
no, not
it doesn't
here.
seem like a high.
yeah, I was
priority.
gonna say maybe not in your neck of the woods, but yeah, I can imagine the EU
Yeah.
doing something.
Yeah, but you're not in
mean,
the
we're all-
EU.
Oh no, but
We're
we're
all
not in
very
the
lucky.
EU, but we're now in the situation where we're basically doing everything that the EU says, and to make sure that we're still locked.
Oh,
in
you were
step.
always gonna do that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
know,
you're
but-
right there.
Yeah, but now it's even more. Now it's even more. Like
Yeah.
to the extent of there's now been a bilateral treaty that's been agreed between Britain and the EU, so that the British can start using the EU gates at passport things at the
Yeah.
you know, on the flights, and it's kind of like
Yeah, this is because
yeah.
people were getting like basic, almost deported from like Spain and stuff. Because I
Yeah.
live here. Not anymore. You don't.
Yeah, I know exactly. So I mean, you know, there is a bit of chickens coming home to roost, and I do get a bit of Schadenfreude. But I mean, that's beside the point.
Yet you're not part of the EU still.
Yeah.
That nobody
like-
learned a lesson, just like us over here. We'll never learn.
nope,
No.
not likely.
Oh, Bill, I have some good news for you.
Oh God,
Sort of.
prove
Yeah.
it.
I'm thinking of, yeah, because you know I run Arch, by the way. Do you know this? I don't know if you know anything about this. I mean,
Like
you
every
run Arch
time
as well.
somebody installs Endeavor or Cache or even Manjaro, they say, "I run Arch now."
Well, because it's surprising that you said that because
Get
not
him,
only
Bill.
have
Get
not only have I got CachyOS one of the laptops which I got specifically for distro hopping. I was tempted today to nuke and pave this Mint box and put Manjaro on.
I just
Ah,
want to
I-
hold on. Can we just go back for a sec on this CashOS thing? You said you have CashOS on there so you can distro hop, or the laptop so you can distro hop.
No, so the laptop's there for distro hopping. Basically,
Okay.
I've learned that if I want to distro hop, I should have a dedicated device for it because
It's a coward's way out, man.
it may well be, but you know what? It's a lot better than losing all your work files or finding that your work files have disappeared. You know, et
Not
cetera,
if you
et
have a
cetera.
3-2-1 backup, my man.
Yeah, well,
There it is again.
do you remember that I asked you if you guys had 3-2-1? I never said I had a 3-2-1. I just asked.
It's something to aspire to, you know.
Yeah.
I see,
Anyway,
I see.
yeah.
that's my favorite question to deflect. By the way, do you have
Yeah.
backups? Do I have
Yeah,
backups?
so-
Yes.
So,
Are they
so
recent?
anywho, so I've been tempted to put Manjaro on this Mint podcasting box, just because why not? Because life's boring otherwise, isn't it? I'm sat at home, you know.
I think Manjaro is pretty. I mean, not boring, but I mean, as far as your Arch experience
Safe.
goes, it's pretty safe.
Save.
Especially if you stay out of the AUR.
Y'all are
because-
making statements today, huh?
I think so, because a lot of your problems you're going to run into are going to be because of a.
The AUR. But why else would you use Arch?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? The whole point of
They've
using
got a
Arch is to have
huge
the AUR.
repository of regular packages as well. You know,
I mean,
you're-
with the CashOS, I made a point of like, I've got this so that I can use the AUR. So, I found out how to enable that in Octopi. and
well, I
all
mean,
sorts of things.
what are you getting from the AUR though? What esoteric
Trash.
package?
Usually the fringe applications, stuff that isn't mainstream, that doesn't get into community.
Right. Okay.
Right,
So
it's the stuff
specifically, what are you getting?
So there's a couple. So there's a couple of cloud providers, for example.
Okay.
There's a couple of crypto wallets and things. A couple of medical
VPN
programs.
clients.
Yeah, but these are
There's a
things
lot of
that
stuff,
run.
you know.
Those are things that run on Linux, just not on Arch, right?
well,
And
I-
they're mostly
there's
they're
no
just
deb
scripts to like.
right. There's a deb and there's an RPM. Those are the two
Yeah.
that that are
Yeah.
usually packaged.
So
Or
you're
if you
already
have that-
shooting yourself in the foot, and then you're like, all right, how can I make this worse? And then you'd go through the AUR, and then that package eventually doesn't get updated for 2 months, and it's like it's broken, and then you're like,
And it
ah,
happens- it happens
Arch.
unless it is a top tier, very popular application. I
Right, with
guarantee
with
it's gonna
with a with like a, what do you call that? Like a contingency whenever the developer steps away or for whatever
Someone
reason.
can come in and adopt it. Yep.
Yeah, what's the word for that? Like line of succession. I can't remember
remember.
the name of it, but
part
yeah,
of
that
the problem,
kind of thing.
the biggest problem you'll run into is when the dependency chain underneath, because Arch moves so doggone fast and Manjaro is just a little less fast. That dependency chain is constantly moving, and then the developer or the person that's maintaining the AUR package is not keeping up with that, and then you go to try to use that thing and it doesn't work. Of course, you just rebuild
And
it
that's
and it
Literally
works.
impossible for them to test everything.
Yeah.
Literally
But that's-
Yeah.
impossible
Oh
for
yeah.
them.
No, definitely. I'm not.
I think
I'm
that's
not under
besides
any-
the point.
I'm
Yeah,
not
like
under any. I'm not under any illusions about the AUR. We've talked about this before. That it is the only reason
So
to
then-
run Arch,
So
but
then,
it's
what
also
else
the.
about Arch though?
Just
what
the
else
fact
about
He
that-
just wants it to break.
No, just because it's.
Well, you've
relatively-
got up-to-date packages no matter what. I mean, not just
Right.
AUR, but the
Right.
stuff in the repos
Well,
is more
So
up-to-date.
my question is,
It's
other
also
than-
relatively lean. It's also relatively lean.
Other
So
than
if you've
gaming.
got
Oh, okay.
older-
It's
Nope.
super
got
lean.
older lap-
that is a lot of
can
words
be
to say
lean.
bloat.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if I understand correctly, Arch packages are compiled in such a way that they are bloated as hell. Like it
Uh,
pulls in lots of stuff that
Yeah, the
you don't actually
dependencies
need.
that people pull in. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Bloated
You
as
install
hell.
the same package. Yeah.
Just go
you
get
know-
Debian, my man.
Yeah.
Arch
my,
is-
my,
so
my,
the-
my theory about it was that if I could get used to the Arch way of doing things, because every time I've tried before, I've not been able to get my head around the Arch way of doing things.
What is that?
yeah,
What is
well-
the archway?
Anyway,
the hardest way possible.
then I can use it on older hardware and older things that I do have. You know what I
Debian.
mean? Well, I mean,
That's
I
what I
mean,
just did.
now you're sounding like Chris Titus Tech, who says there's only two distros that anybody should ever install: Arch or Debian. And it's just
No,
like, okay, mate, you're just talking
I don't know
crap. But
why
I
you
mean,
for
listen to
that,
him, but
just for that.
I don't listen to
yes,
him.
you do. You link his videos.
Well, the only reason I linked
Yeah,
to
that's
that
not gonna
video
go
was
away.
because the only reason I linked his video is because it had a Mac OS utils that I thought that Leo might find interesting.
Gross,
Since
dude.
he's the only person
Oh,
that uses a Mac here, and I wanted to
Yeah.
know what he thought about it.
Oh no,
Because
I think customizing your thing just to 7 ways to Sunday is absolutely too much, and it's a recipe for disaster. And I think a lot of people that use Arch end up kind of doing that exact kind of thing, and then are just like, I guess I'll go back to Ubuntu. I mean, I think that
Well,
happens all the
so
time.
let's be real here. Why is Flatpak so popular? Because you get
Yes.
the most updated copy of an application that you care about. The underlying system, a lot of people don't care. They'll run Mint, they'll run Ubuntu, they'll run something that's an LTS because they just don't care about the rest of it. They care about the apps that they run, and that's what matters. And that's why Flatpak and Arch or something that is an fast rolling release, and that's the appeal of it, right? Because you want the latest KDE Plasma or the GNOME or whatever, desktop. It's not so much that I care about the underlying packages anymore. Really, it's the decision of, do I want the latest desktop environment, the latest version of a desktop environment? Like, I was running Pop! OS happily for years, but that was GNOME 42. And we're like getting ready to come up to like 49 now. You know what I mean? And that's enough of a
Really?
difference.
Whoa.
yeah, run for
Wow,
it.
I've not been keeping up.
Yeah, we're on 48 now. I mean, it'll be 49. It'll be out in a couple months. So, like, and 50 is a big change. There's a lot of stuff happening there. So, if you want to stay up to date on stuff, I mean, I could happily stay on Hop, and I did for a long time, with it being based on 2204, and GNOME 42, and a lot of packages that were just sort of older. But it didn't matter because I was using Flatpak, had updated versions of all the software that I cared about, and that was fine. I got bored though, and so you actually mentioned Debian, and I was like, I haven't run a Debian desktop in over 10 years, easily, so I saw the thing about Trixie, and I'm like,
Ooh, that's coming in a few weeks.
Yeah, it
Couple
is.
weeks, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I stuck Trixie on this Latitude tab 2-in-1, and it's beautiful. It's fast. It's lean. It's
How dare you?
there's not-
Debian is old and terrible.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. And now that they will do drivers and blobs and proprietary stuff to at least get the hardware working properly, like, it's been a very nice experience. It runs really, really well on here.
So what you should
The
do,
fans barely ever kick on. What should I do?
LMDE.
Yeah,
So
I know.
LMD,
and I
man.
thought about that, but I just
And that
like
way
the
you can get
non-commit.
all the other extra little the
A little
cinnamon,
bit of
the
tooling on
spice
top of it.
top.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
baby.
know, but I
'Cause
like it.
what is-
so
what
is-
much.
What does Debian
I'm
give
sorry.
you to actually like do package management and stuff? I don't think Synaptic is even. Is Synaptic in there?
It's
Like that?
Mhm.
But it's terrible though.
Oh, I mean, but on GNOME, I have GNOME software with Flatpak plugin, and I mainly do stuff.
Did you have to add that
with
though?
command line anyway.
I don't think so.
The Flatpak plugin, yeah, you did.
Oh,
Yeah,
but GNOME
you-
software
So you
comes.
follow. GNOME software does come. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay, maybe I just installed. I think I installed like Mate or something like that. It didn't come with Jack. So
So I mean,
yeah.
I've actually never run a Debian install ever. And at last week's Mincast, we were kind of mentioning a bit about LMDE and could you use LMDE, without and never know basically, would it just be in exactly the same experience and, and then I actually got to, so this started a whole discussion about it. And also we actually got an email, which I'll, when we do the next show, I'll talk about someone else saying that, they'd been daily driving LMDE now for how many years. And they're not some kind of sysadmin or anything like that. It's been absolutely fine and not had any problems at all. So yeah, I something I do have an ISO of LMDE because I've always thought, should I try it? Should I try it? Should I try it? I haven't done it. Yeah.
If you're willing to try Arch, then I think you should be willing to try Debian.
Blackware.
Because
Yeah. You know what? I'm actually
Because
half tempted to
honestly-
try Slackware just for you.
I mean,
Just to-
dude, Slackware with Flatpaks, you're going to end up with the same situation as you are in Debian. This is
Slackware is
gonna-
pretty
you'll just-
boring once you get
There's
it
a lot
set
of
up.
bloat because the Slackware mindset is like, I'm going to give you everything so that you never have to download anything.
Yeah.
See, my issue about bloat in inverted commas isn't this kind of big philosophical or ideological thing about why the hell have I got stuff on here that I didn't want. It's I just want a system that works well. And if I've got older stuff with less, performant hardware, then I'd obviously want to keep things leaner. I might want to use Mate, for example, as a desktop environment, or XFCE, or
But in that
so
case, how does like having less disk space used translate into better performance?
I was just going to say something to that effect because I don't think of bloat.
But
in
I said it
terms
smarter.
Of,
You're welcome.
Well, yeah. I don't think of bloat.
Well, I mean,
I don't think of bloat
by
in
trying, won't I?
Yeah, I don't think of it in terms of like what space it's taking up on disk. Everybody's got huge hard drives nowadays. I think about it in terms of what services are running in the background, taking up
that was the
CPU cycles and RAM space. Doing things or waiting on me to do something I'm never going to do, or running a service.
I've got a rebuttal to that.
Okay.
So it's about RAM usage then, essentially. And
Or
then
RAM
background
and CPU
processes
cycles,
chewing
yeah.
up,
RAM
right?
and
Yeah,
CPU.
background processes chewing up CPU, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And the idea is that by going with Arch, then you can pick and choose exactly what's starting up and whatever.
Yes.
And I mean,
Correct.
as a learning experiment, sure, but as a, I guess I just don't understand why starting with Debian is different, or is not the play. But other than updated packages underneath. But if you have older
Yeah.
hardware, then newer
There's
packages
not
don't
really.
mean jack to you.
No, I mean that's a fair point, and as I said, it is something I've been thinking about because it's not something I've done. And as I said, I've asked about, and how much extra source does Ubuntu put on it, or does Linux Mint put on it?
Well,
You would be surprised
Here's-
how slim some of these distributions are outside of disk space. Like the
Some of them.
running stuff
Yeah.
that's happening in the background is quite minimal.
And that's all I'm on about. I'm not on about necessarily how much space is it taking. Because you're
Good
right.
man.
Everybody's got but it is if you've got older stuff, you don't want to be necessarily running as heavier stuff on it, because otherwise then what's the you're only kind of cutting your nose to spite your face. If you have a system which is so resource hungry and this, that, and the other, then what was the point?
But the opposite is true too. Like the people that are putting together these Arch things are in this perpetual like cycle of, oh well, I guess I do need the Bluetooth this and that because I have this one Bluetooth controller. Well, let me go figure out how to install Bluetooth and get it to enable every single time that I boot up. And then over and over and over every time, and then you end up with like Avahi running in the background, and which is a system which is no different than a stock Linux Mint or Ubuntu or whatever, because it turns out they've done a lot of research on what type of creature comforts you might actually need in an operating system, and they enable that by default, and then people get bent out of shape about it.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's
I'm not getting out of shape about it.
Not you, just
No.
the bloat crowd.
This is that's the archway, right? The archway is don't make any decisions for me, to the point where using the computer out of the box with a
It's
default
painful.
Arch is just a pain in the ass because none of the services are running, right? Even if something's installed, they didn't start the service for you, so you wonder why your Bluetooth doesn't work. You wonder why
There
your
is a way to
wireless
make
isn't
that
starting.
work
You wonder
though
why-
by
Of
a
course there
config
is,
in
but-
the pacman.conf. But
Yeah, the config.
Are you gonna
in
know that?
Pac-Man.
Like that's the problem is for as much as I love the Arch Wiki, and it does have it's a tome of knowledge beyond many others that I've seen. I mean, it is definitely a great repository for knowledge, but it's also confusing as hell sometimes because it's like they just give you a bunch of choices. They don't give you any kind of guidance necessarily. They're just like, well, you could use system D this, or you could use, I mean, it's just basically like, pick your poison. If
They
you don't know
do
what the
have
hell you're
a
doing-
easiest path, I think, in the wiki. A lot of times they're like, if you don't want to do too much or whatever, this is the one you want. But it's you're right though. It's a far cry from a recommendation. It's just this is going to hurt the least.
I think anybody that's going to go and use Arch needs to you need to have a reason to go and use it. I mean, maybe if you're using it because you want to learn, that's one thing. But you have to understand what you're taking on with Arch. That especially at first, if you're just setting up a system that you are going to use, like I've got two machines that the one machine's got I think it's a 7-year-old Arch install on it now, and it's nearly zero maintenance outside of Yay, TAC, SYU every now and then.
Would you say that there's not a lot of software installed on that system?
There's the reason I'm running it on that is because there's absolutely nothing reaching out to the internet. There's no services that are looking to the internet for anything like unintended upgrades or anything like that, because that's a machine that I take on the road with me, and I usually connect it to a metered service of some kind.
My experience with Arch has been if I have a purpose for that box and I keep it very lean and focused, I don't have problems.
Yeah.
But as soon as I try to use it as a general purpose desktop where I've got 500 programs installed and just stuff everywhere, every time there's some sort of a major shift in an underlying library or dependency, you can have some serious issues, and it becomes
I'm thinking
really
it's really
difficult to deal with.
Firefox, Audacity. I think I've got Kden Live. It's got a KDE Plasma.
Yeah.
Desktop.
But that
Using
I think
stream stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that whole line of thinking right there is that you don't want these major shifts in libraries underneath or whatever is the exact argument for Debian underneath, Flatpak on top.
And
So that's that's kind of what Bluefin is, isn't it?
In a
Well, more
roundabout
Debian-
way, right? It's Fedora underneath,
no,
immutable with
I think it's
Flatpaks on
Ubuntu.
top.
Isn't Bluefin?
Bluefin is
Ubuntu?
not Ubuntu. No. Bluefin, Aurora, and Bazzite are all part of the same family.
Yes, yeah,
They
you're
all
right.
come-
Sorry, yes, you're right. Yeah.
They
you're
all
right.
come from Fedora.
Yeah, you're right.
And I've got Bluefin running right here.
so they don't have
That's
Silverblue
the-
and Kinoite anymore, or is that?
No, we do. No. That's where Bluefin and
those are
Aurora are.
official.
The official. Yeah, Silverblue
Yes.
is still the official immutable.
Okay.
distro.
So I heard
All of
I heard from George and company. So the reason that it's called Bluefin, I can't remember exactly, but it's either the street or the name.
It's the name of the building. So because
There.
remember I said that I was listening to old episodes. Yeah, I listened to the Popey episode where he talks about Bluefin was the name of the building where Canonical
There it
used
is.
to be headquartered, and then
Yeah.
they moved now. But so
Yeah,
that's-
we talked about it in George came on Linux User Space live stream one time. We were chatting about kind of how these things are built or whatever, because I was gushing about it in the first place, and then he just he showed up, and we talked about that. And yeah, so Bluefin comes from that, but the reason it's named that is kind of a cheeky reference to the Ubuntu way of kind of fixing the paper
Yeah.
cuts on
wasn't
top,
it?
and that's what he's done.
Ubuntuized Fedora, wasn't that?
Yes.
Yeah, that was the phrase,
Yes.
wasn't it?
That's the idea, and so it's all built on top of Fedora. But yeah, it's I mean, shoulders of giants is the way that goes. So you have the Fedora, how that works, and then you have the atomics, specifically the atomics of Kinoite and what's the other one? That other
Silverblue.
one, Silverblue, yeah. And then from there, you have the customization on top of all of that, which is what Aurora and Bluefin and Bazzite are, and that is what I use because again. The immutability is really I'm sorry, not the atomicity is what really attracts me to these things. And on top of that, I just use the Fedora applications, which is the best way. Again, the Flatpak is just the absolute best way to get software for me, except for
Or
Steam.
distro box if you have to.
Yeah. Actually, that's the way that. So for like. Steam kind of still sucks in Flatpak, and it's going to be the way to kind of end run around, still getting it in a containerized kind of way, but having all the access to the real Steam on Linux, where you can, where you don't have the issues of like my Bluetooth thing doesn't quite connect up just right or whatever. That is kind of nice. So yeah, man,
Well,
Bazzite Aurora,
I'll
the
be
way
honest. Bluefin was my first choice. I've run it on other stuff, and was happy with it. I tried to get it running on this Latitude, and it refused. It would get all the way through, putting the image on the disk, and it would just.
to go. Were you dual booting it?
With Windows? Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, don't do that. That's why. There's an issue with the atomics. I thought it was fixed. It may not be fixed. I have no idea. But there has been a long-standing issue with the atomics that setting it up in a dual boot is always going to end up in a failure because the atomics expect to be able to write by themselves to a boot partition or the EFI. And if it doesn't have that, if there's other stuff in there, it'll fail. So
Actually let it take over the EFI partition. So I tried to, and I knew about that, and I didn't. And I actually had an issue once where if you had ever installed any version of Fedora ever, it left a file, like a file structure in your EFI, and then you tried to reuse that EFI partition, it would fail. And it wouldn't tell you that in like a meaningful way. You just
no,
had to sort of figure it
it
out.
was like it was
So
error vomit, and you were just like,
yes, so I did all that. Like I've used it enough to understand that there are some of those complications. The difficulty was I tried, I tried everything Fedora based Atomic, and yeah, it just wouldn't work. And
you know,
I was bummed
what I
because
did on this guy back here is I gave up. The framework is easy enough to just pop open. It takes 45 whole seconds to pop the
it's
lid
a
off,
regular disk.
and then 10 more seconds to swap the disk, and then 30 more seconds to put the thing back on. So in 2 minutes I can swap the disk, and that's what I did.
That's what I should do.
Bazite just lives on that laptop, and my Windows NVMe is sitting around here somewhere. I don't even know where it is because that's how
To
important
be
it is
honest,
to me.
the only reason that I have, and I should just do that because the only reason I have kept Windows on here is because there's a chance, because it is a tablet and I have the Art Pen for it, there's always this chance that my wife has a project where she wants to use a capable, like a full fat Windows computer with, a pen input.
I have a suggestion for you.
Okay.
Don't give a damn about it. Dell puts their Windows license in the BIOS. So when you install Windows,
We've
it
had this-
autofills. You don't gotta worry about it, dude.
Yeah, no, I know that,
I've
but
had this
then that means I have to
conversation.
roll out like it. You know how hard it is and annoying it is to install Windows. That's why I
just did it this
partition,
morning.
'cause it's like
Listen,
it's
if you
already
got to do
there.
Windows, you just need to let them in your throat. Okay, just set up the
Just
account,
relax,
do the whole thing.
lean back.
Yep. Just relax those muscles. If you're gonna use Windows, you just have to. Just stop fighting it.
Well,
Let them
apparently
have
I
all
have
of your data.
I have
It
enough of a
took
gag
like
reflex
2
that that's
hours.
an issue for me. So
Well, then let someone else push the next button, next, and sign in with their account or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
just accept it. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
and
think
if it doesn't on install, it's like one day you're gonna be sleepy without your coffee, and you're gonna accidentally set it up after 24H3 comes out, and you'll be like, ah, damn it. And now you have to unroll it all, but there's no unrolling it. You can't. OneDrive is just gonna keep showing up in your tray, and you have to be okay with it.
I can't. I am so salty about that. The day that I sat down in front of a Windows partition and it was like, where are your files? And it gives you this little bullshit excuse
Yeah.
of like, OneDrive's taking care of it for you now. And I was just like
Dude.
apoplectic.
I have so many issues with OneDrive. So I work in education. I deal with people running virtual machines and all kinds of stuff. And then the people that end up accidentally putting their virtual machines, they live in a drive that's backed up by OneDrive. By the end of the semester, someone is always corrupted. There's a VM that is always corrupt. Why does OneDrive change the data on the local disk at all?
Ever.
We don't have
Ever.
any corruption. If you avoid that, if you put it in a directory called VMs that is out of the reach of OneDrive, nobody ever has any trouble. But for the ones that either slip up or forget or miss that step or whatever the deal may be, they always end up in this situation where it's like, hey, my VM's not starting up. Here's the error. And I'm like, hey, let me guess. You put this
Bummer.
in documents? And it's always, yep. And I'm like, look at the path of that. And it's always in the path of OneDrive. And
Yeah, and
always
to be
ends
fair,
up with heartache.
Explorer has become a very ugly application. There are so many stupid buttons and like folders and shortcuts. It is hard to look at and understand what the hell am I doing here? Like, and this is
It's-
me having used Windows for such a long time.
You know what it
It's
is?
just like
It's their weird love affair with the Office ribbon.
yeah.
They took it and they put it in the file explorer, and I'm hating it less and less over time because I'm forced to use it.
Yeah, but it
because
took people a
it's-
long time to stop hating it.
Yes.
And they
yes. Oh, absolutely.
put it everywhere.
But it's very much the KDE way of doing things in a different format. It's every option you could ever possibly want that might ever skid across File Explorer. It's in there, and I don't know. power users
LibreOffice
can
thought
like
to
that.
themselves, you know what? That looks great. Let's put that in LibreOffice as well.
And their
Nobody thought they
implementation
would
of
ever
it
do
is
that.
It's their implementation of it is so bad, it's laughable. But anyway,
I'm gonna
I
tell
watched
them you
the
said
video
that.
yesterday.
They know.
Please do.
They've got to know.
Everyone looks at that as being this like stalwart application, and to be honest, like I run away from LibreOffice. But
Yeah, it's fine.
anyway, so I watched this video yesterday of another person who's made the
Chris
switch.
Titus
and he was
Tech,
at his
yeah.
1 year. Yeah, well, absolutely. Never miss one. But yeah, he had made his 1 year mark, and he was talking about how he started with Mint, and then he ended up on
Oh, I think I've seen this
different
one.
distros.
There's so many of these around, isn't there?
Yeah, and this is a guy. It was like something tech, but he's not technical. It's like a excuse me. It's a play on words, but anyway, he made a very good point, it's a point that I've heard before, but he articulated it in such a way where it was like, Windows is far from perfect, but because we're all so used to it, we know we
Yes.
have to do things a certain way or else it won't work, or there's 10 different ways to do the same thing in Windows, or there's all of the weird foibles with Windows. We're used to it, but when we go to something like Linux, well, we don't know these things. We don't recognize these things, so all of a sudden it's scary. But it's the same shit we deal with in Windows. It's just what you're used to. And he's like, over the last year, I've just gotten used to running Windows or Linux. And hey, guess what? Package managers are magical. And software repositories, and the ability to nothing's watching you. There's no ads in your all the arguments against Windows. But to hear this non-technical person describe his experience, it was just like, you know what? You're absolutely right. Windows, every time I use it now, because I don't use it regularly, everything feels 10 times harder than it needs to be.
It
Yeah,
is.
this-
Because but if I was using it every day, I wouldn't see it that way, because it would just be the way it works, right?
Right.
It's
This
like
has
driving
been
a car. Go ahead.
this has been my argument against moving away from Anaconda, and this is going to piss some people off. But so, if you've ever installed Red Hat, CentOS, Rocky, Alma, any of the Red Hat lineage, Fedora, any of it, right? By default, in the past forever, you have interacted with Anaconda. Now, not recently, they've just changed that. And this has been my argument for their reasoning for it. And I think their reasoning is flawed, right? They're like, we need to have an installer much more like Ubuntu, where it's much more linear. And I'm like, where did this idea of a linear installer that doesn't let you make decisions and take you to other pages start? It starts
From people that don't
with-
even use Red Hat and
true,
Fedora.
but
because they go and they
specifically-
try it and they complain about Anaconda, and it's ridiculous.
But that the expectation comes from Windows wizards
Yeah.
that handhold you through, ask you one question at a time. Don't want to overload you. Don't think about anything. And it takes you through this next, where you end up having to ask 80 more questions after the install anyway. But Anaconda was a departure from that. It was a hub and spoke model of, here are the questions that you need to answer. And somehow we ended up in this situation where I can't understand that.
Yeah.
There's
Here's the
six
argument
things
that I
on the
think most
screen.
people made. No. It's not that it was hub and spoke, because the OpenSUSE installer is very similar. It's not.
No,
that
I
have a problem with
specifically
that.
have seen many people complain about its
Yeah,
hub and
I
spoke.
have
It's not
too.
linear.
I complain. Oh, I don't complain about the hub and spoke. I complain about the fact that they put buttons in different places. Terrible UI design.
Sure,
You
but that's
don't-
something you can
don't
fix.
put a stupid button up in the top left corner and then the bottom right and then the top. It's nonsense. And so
Sure,
that
but
part
that's
of
not an
Anaconda-
argument to get rid of Anaconda. That's an
No.
argument to
No.
enhance Anaconda and
Exactly,
make it more
exactly.
intuitive. But
Yeah, no,
hub
I've
and
never
spoke
had a
is
problem
not.
with. Yeah. No.
Yeah, hub and spoke has been the biggest argument for trashing Anaconda that I have seen. Like, get rid of
okay.
Anaconda
See,
and
I always
replace it
heard-
with a more linear. thing, and they've done it.
You're talking as if having a linear installer is a bad thing.
No, I'm saying that linear installers are fine. What I'm saying, though, is that I think the
Why do we do
reason that Fedora has gotten away from 20 years of not doing a linear installer is because of the expectation that Windows users and just people in general come in with and expect Fedora to be that way, and when it doesn't behave that way, they're like, Fedora's unusable. They
Well,
don't even get it installed.
Windows set the tone for all of this, didn't they? Though,
Yes,
because I'm looking
that's
at
my point.
my Cinnamon desktop right here. I've got the start menu on the left. I've got all of the buttons and the clock on the right. Well, most people do. I move my
No,
clock to the middle.
So again, I'm struggling to see what the problem is.
Well, if you like an installer like Anaconda is far more useful if you wanted to put more advanced options into the installer. Like if you wanted to set up, ButterFS and things like that, and you wanted to be able to add the options to create sub volumes and then assign those sub volumes to mount points. I'm just giving you an example.
No, but that sounds like elitism to me. That does. That sounds like, why, you should, RTFM. Why should life be easy for you? You need to do it difficulty. You need to have it hard. And
No. You
sounds like
can
that.
you can do advanced stuff in Anaconda, but like when you start Anaconda up, the things that you need to do are in red.
Yeah.
Right. So you click on the thing.
Think of how think of how it's laid out. So you have the home page, right? The hub. And the hub shows you things that have been not tasks that need to be completed, right? Click that task, it takes you off to that spoke. You do the thing. Now, when you come back to the home page, the hub page, you can then decide, I didn't want to do that. Wait a minute, I want to go back there. But if you get 8 steps into a wizard, and you realize that step 2 was screwed up, you have to either undo a whole bunch of stuff, and then usually they break because they're not made to do that, really.
Yep.
So that's the point. It's not that it's elitism. It's not that it's a more powerful, flexible way to do it.
Yeah. So you should just have better installers then. That's
we should have better users then. But seriously though, I think you can't have better users because Windows has trained all the users. But the fact that Windows has trained all the users means that no one can do anything that isn't the Windows way. You can't have a nonlinear installer because nobody expects and nobody knows how those works because nobody would ever dare learn how anything else works. They just need it to work, whatever. And that is what is sad to me.
I agree with you. I agree with that.
But then you get people saying, "Oh, we can't manage with GNOME and we can't manage with back in the day Unity because it's so completely different, and we need a desktop."
We have that. That exists.
No, but do you see my point? It's like, on the one hand, it's saying, "Well, I want a very traditional desktop paradigm." Well, the traditional desktop paradigm means it looks like Windows. And on the same the same token, we want to have installers which are nothing like the Windows wizard because we don't want fucking Windows. If we wanted Windows, we would have stayed on Windows. It's like there seems to be a contradiction in that to me.
So what I'm saying is that linear installers are no more or less difficult than a hub and spoke installer. That's it.
That's fine. But as I think the issues with Anaconda were what Eric said, that the fact that it was designed in a terrible manner. And if you
and again, that can be fixed.
Fix that without throwing out the baby with the bathwater is what we're saying.
We didn't need to get rid of Anaconda to fix those paper cuts. Yeah. But we did.
I mean, usually a visual refresh is a fairly straightforward, especially if you're not changing toolkits, you're not really impacting the underlying architecture. All you're really doing is just moving things around. Obviously there is some amount of overhead and testing and stuff, but that's usually a pretty safe way to do things. And I think the truth is, and this is it goes back to my earlier statement of, you just get used to doing it that way, right? Nobody gave a shit about Anaconda because anyone who used it as a professional is used to shitty software that, like, if you've ever had to be a Windows administrator of their servers, you know the pain of like dealing with these sub menus and like trying to find that one stupid option that you can't remember.
Thank God you can PowerShell it all now.
Yeah, I mean it's just that makes life so much easier.
But that's like so Fedora is just an example of my wider argument of that Windows has tainted it all. that
Yeah.
all of the BS, all of the crappiness or whatever, not all of it, but I mean the vast majority of the crappiness that we have to deal with on a day-to-day, especially when it comes to user experience, is directly descended from choices to make it look like Windows.
I think
to,
it should be
give you
okay
that
though, because
Windowsy experience.
when Windows came out and they made computers accessible to normal people, people really had to turn on a part of their brain that we have never used in order to figure these things out and make it part of our everyday life, you know. And I feel like when I say normal users, I mean people that probably didn't go to school for this stuff and are probably less technical. So when we come along with something different, we're asking them to go through that experience all over again of having to turn on their learning brain or grow out
One
of their
time,
lizard
ever.
brain. And
Ever, one time.
yeah, and
Well, the
asking people to
Again,
learn anything is
Yep.
these
I mean, you
days.
want
But there's
things to
nothing
be
to learn.
accessible.
It's in red.
Yeah, oh, I know, but it's not
Yeah.
the next. You know, you can skip over. You can because I think another thing is people have grown.
Your generation, Bill,
Accustomed
your
to-
generation
yeah.
talks about how we don't have critical thinking no more. And,
Kids don't wanna work
you're
and
just
all that, yeah.
perpetuating the situation, you know what I mean?
That situation, you gotta watch that situation. Got a lot of them situations down there.
Yeah.
But
We-
then at the same time, we do want Linux to be more accessible, right?
to be fair, and we do, and that's fine. And to be honest, Windows installing Windows isn't a problem that they have to worry about. They don't have to onboard people because people buy it with their
Yeah.
computer. It's pre-installed, so it's not a problem for their end users. Whereas with Linux, you inherently have to install it at some point, and that's why anyone even gives a shit about the installers, right? Otherwise, like, it wouldn't be completely trivial. No one would care. You would just, do what you needed to do to get it installed. But it's because Linux is held to a different standard. That's why we talk about this stuff. But I want to reference that video I mentioned earlier one more time. So the guy said that the reason he wanted to switch away from Windows was because of stuff like them insisting that you use AI, insisting that you, use OneDrive, insisting that you have Edge installed, insisting like Windows used to be a much more open experience. I mean, yes, there were some guardrails, and yes, there was the reason it was, it was popular as it was is because it was a standard system. And if you were having a problem on your copy of Windows, most times it would be something that if someone else saw, they'd have a solution for it, or it was repeatable or supportable, whatever. But the truth is now that they've really very much made it a curated experience. Like, they want you to use your computer in a very specific way. And if you don't want to use it that way, they're making it harder and harder for you to break away or to do your own thing. And that's different. They didn't used to do that as much as
Isn't
they
that
do
the
now.
Apple model, though? Isn't that the Apple model, which seems to
Well,
be
but that's
so
because Apple
successful?
users, but they put a lot of effort into making it actually work. Whereas I contend that Windows is still very clunky, and I mean, just this whole Windows 11 upgrade thing, where it's like, yet there are good reasons for them to have said you can't use a computer older than 8th generation or whatever. But the truth is that those computers still work. And it's very difficult to just say to someone, it's like telling them they can't drive their car anymore.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
like,
you
well,
have to
why
spend
can't I?
500 quid now or 600 quid buying a new laptop because we've decided that your
Right.
old perfectly fine laptop isn't going to be able to use whatever bullshit they've added on. No, I mean, I completely get that. And that's why
Let someone make that decision for themselves. If they install it and it runs like shit, okay, well then they're probably going to upgrade anyway. Or if they, I think that's really what it comes down to now is that people, yes, of course, we see the freedom, we see the flexibility, we see the power in being able to make all your own choices, and whether that's someone helping you and making some of the choices for you or you making all the choices for yourself. The point is you can make those choices, and you're right, in Mac OS and in Windows, like, those choices are being made for us, and to the point where you can't unmake them, right? And that's like, I've had a problem with trying to get a new computer for my wife because I don't want a new generation system that has AI built into it because she's going to use Windows. And I can't stop that stuff from being an impact on her. And I don't want recall running on her system. And I don't want, some of these things that they're putting in that are becoming impossible to.
Is that recall thing really
undo.
happening, or have they backpedaled on that?
Oh yeah,
I mean,
it's happening so much, or like that it's happening because Windows has APIs that you can use when you develop Windows software to prevent recall from looking into that application. So it's
Oh,
happening.
my
It's
God.
definitely happening.
Oh yeah.
How do you
It's just
turn it
been
off?
They just
delayed
had-
and
they couldn't
delayed
be
and
so-
delayed.
Yeah, they just couldn't be
'cause
so
it's
overt
shit.
about it. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they
Yeah, 'cause it's
basically have
rubbish.
said, we're going to make these concessions to make it more palatable. But the truth is, they've spent so much money on AI. I mean, so much money on AI that they have to justify it at this
Yeah,
point.
they have to keep
They
going.
have-
You can't have the whole. It's the
Yeah,
sunk
it's a sunk
cost
cost
fallacy,
fallacy.
isn't it? It's the
Yes.
sunk cost. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
There,
So we put all
look.
this money in. We've done all this, so now we have to try and get something out of it, even
The
if
reality is 5%, 10% of all of this AI jack is going to stay around. The other 90%, they're going to do their damnedest to sell us on it because they've spent so much money developing it and shove it here and shove it there and make sure that you have it here and all that kind of stuff. But AI is going to stick around with us. It is a useful tool in some cases.
No,
So
I mean,
that's
it
that
is.
10%.
No, it is.
Yeah,
But
no,
outside of
has its
that,
uses. Yeah.
Because the
it's
other
going to
part of
slowly
it,
fade away.
these lawsuits they're not going to keep winning these lawsuits.
Yes,
They
they will.
stole the no, they won't. They
They're gonna
stole
win
this
'em.
information. No, I don't think they are. I really
I'm
don't.
more cynical than you, Eric. I promise.
Well, they may win them in the United States, but they're not going to keep winning them everywhere in the world because not
You got a
everywhere
lot
in the
of
world is
pressure.
kissing big tech ass. It is outright theft. It is 100% outright theft that they stole all of this information from all of these authors and musicians.
I
and
agree
everyone
with
else.
you. I just think it's going to be a whole lot more not great
Well,
to artists and
I just
writers
think
and everything else.
I think people are waking up and understanding a little more about why this stuff exists in the first place, and that it didn't, And then the other plan for, well, since we're out of data now, we're gonna inject, a way to capture everything you do in a browser by selling, embedding it into the extensions you use, which I thought was a pretty fun trick that they pulled recently. Or we're gonna create AI slop and then have the AI eat the slop so that then they create more slop so that it gets even further away from reality and useful content. Now,
I've got a good one about that. So Microsoft Edge has Copilot built in, right? And it turns out that you're exactly correct, Eric, that Copilot in Edge is always watching what you're doing, what page you're on, what it's doing, what it's saying. Like, and here's the crazy thing about it is that in a video, so this is one of my students watching one of my videos in Microsoft Edge. I say the word GUI, right? Graphical user interface. And Microsoft Edge says, hold on, this might be malware. And it navigates them away from that page. So Microsoft Edge is not just knowing what you're doing. It is actively listening to the things that are coming out of each individual tab in the browser to know that I said a wrong word, apparently, which is GUI. I don't know how that's a wrong word. I'm sure they've fixed it by now. But I'm sure AI wrote those definitions in the first place, right? And, like, it's watching you. That's plain and simple. It's straight up watching you, surveilling what you're doing in each individual tab to tell you, oh, that might be bad.
And I think that that concept has hit a chord with a lot of people. A lot of people who would in the past just gone, yeah, whatever, and just continued on. As I said, I'm seeing more and more people interested in other operating systems, whether that's Linux or whether that's Mac OS or whatever.
Thanks,
it may be.
PewDiePie.
But it's true. It's true that there are people that are like actively looking for stuff without the AI because they're not happy about this. Do you know what I mean? So you
Well,
know,
if AI
where
wasn't so trash, it would help their cause.
yeah, well, yeah, but then that's the nature of the beast, isn't it? It's been so overhyped. It's been
Yes.
so, bigged up, and and instead of taking the wins and taking the kind of benefits that it does have, all of this big tech is trying to slam it down our throats. So, like, for example,
Hate that phrase.
advanced chat privacy is a thing now in WhatsApp, because apparently Meta's AI can see through all your group messages, and so you have to specifically go and switch on a thing, a toggle that only the admins of the group can do, so that it can't then read your conversations. Now, forget about the fact whether we believe them or not. The fact that this even is an issue, I have seen so many WhatsApp forwards and other forwards from non-technical people saying, make sure you do this to disable the AI. Make sure you do this to disable the AI. Can the admin please go and change the setting so that it disables the AI? And it's like, the populace isn't sold on this at all. As
Well,
I said,
I don't think they're sold on many tech things. I think your earlier statement of, well, I just don't care about it or whatever, but it's gone past that point. It's past whatever imaginary threshold exists where people now are actively hating it. That wouldn't have an opinion otherwise.
yeah.
And now they're just like, well, that's actually, yeah, that is bad. So, I mean, that's a great thing for us that don't like to use AI, but will it make much of an impact? Will it make a difference? I guess that's kind of
Find out on the next exciting episode of Linux OTC.
Watch this space.
And make sure you hit that like button and click subscribe.
Let us know what you think, everybody. Show at linuxotc.org, or hit us up on what socials we got other than just Discord and Mastodon.
Just yell out your window. We'll hear it.
I've thought about doing something about that, but then I thought, nah, I'll just stay at home and hit myself.
What, yelling out your window?
No,
Yeah.
getting
Well,
more social media.
This literally is old man shouting out, isn't it? Get off my lawn.
And
Tell
that's,
ChatGPT to write us an email.
oh, hey, there's an
I
idea.
think we should use something that no non-technical person would ever use, like Mastodon or Matrix or something. That would be great.
I'm not trying to gatekeep here, but
That's not elitism in any way, shape, or form.
I know, but anything to avoid Facebook and X. Anyway,
Hey, the onboarding for Mastodon is linear, so you should be all right.
there you go. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Until then, I'm Bill.
I'm Eric. It's a stare down.
This is so stupid.
I'm always going to be Leo.
And I'm always going to be Majid.
See you, folks.
Right.